Hi, happy Sunday. Let's figure out what's for dinner. First of all, usually on Sundays you have like a Sunday supper, but today we're not going to. Usually on the weekends, Friday or Saturday, we'll have a leftover night where throughout the week there's a little bit leftovers, like one or two servings. So by the end of the week, we have a refrigerator full of leftovers, but not really enough of one meal to make a meal for everybody. So what I'll do is I take everything out and I put it up on out on this the island, and I put the meals in order. Here's this meal. There's three hamburgers, put three buns, the little condiments, and so on and so forth. The spaghetti, the garlic bread, or whatever. Each individual leftover I'll put out, and then it's kind of first come, first serve. People can call dibs and take what they want, and then what's left over, I'll either throw out or I'll put it in a freezer container and pop it in the freezer for like a little homemade TV dinner, little to go meal. So today we have some leftovers, but I'm going to repurpose them and make something out of nothing. We had some birthdays this week, so everything kind of got pushed over a little bit. But for one birthday, we had Clay's chicken tacos, which I did more chicken than I needed for the actual chicken taco dinner, so I could make this meal. And when you make the chicken tacos, how I did it is I had the crock pot. I put some of was it Hernandez, the salsa verde in the bottom, throw a bunch of chicken breast, and then I put the salsa verde on top, which you could even use enchilada sauce if you wanted to. And I put some of the tomato chicken bouillon. I'll show you this. I sprinkled this on the top, a good fourth of a cup at least, so that way it can melt into all the salsa verde and give it a nice flavor. So anyway, with my chicken salsa broth liquid, I kept it after I took the chicken out, and then I shredded it up, and that's what we use for the chicken tacos. But I kept my chicken stock, my chicken salsa verde, chicken sauce, chicken stuff, chicken juice, because I'm going to use this along with, oh, let me go get it that too. I'm going to put this in a pot, and I'm going to cook it down, the sauce, the juice, this chicken stock, I don't even know what to call it. I'm going to cook it down a little bit so it can reduce, and then I'm going to add in this cheese mixture. Remember when I made that homemade macaroni and cheese? I had some of that cheese sauce left over that we didn't use for the noodles, so I kept that. But I also have a little bit of Alfredo sauce that I made because we did the bacon carbonara raviolis, and I did the Rayo's jarred marinara sauce, and then I made up a little bit of Alfredo sauce. So then we could get your carbonara ravioli, and then you could choose if you wanted Alfredo sauce or marinara sauce or a mixture of both, make a pink sauce. So I was like, okay, I could cook down this chicken juice, the juices that the chicken cooked in, and add this cheese saucy mixture and kind of thicken it up so I can make chicken enchilada. But it's going to be chicken enchilada casserole. Kind of all the components, I'm just kind of throwing it in, kind of layering it, but instead of putting the chicken in the tortillas and rolling them and all that stuff, I'm just going to cut them up and put a layer of sauce, a layer of tortilla, a layer of meat, a layer of cheese, a layer of sauce, kind of like a lasagna is what we usually call it, where it's enchiladas and a lasagna put together, lasagna. So let's get started. Oh, also, I'm going to be making one for tonight and one for the freezer. Cook once, eat twice, because I'll have plenty of ingredients, because of what I think I'm going to do is probably end up using half, if not 3/4 of this, and the rest of the chicken and the rest of the tortilla shells, the corn tortilla shells, I'm going to cut up for the enchiladas, but then I'm also going to use the remaining chicken and the remaining flour tortillas and make fried tacos. But when we do the place chicken tacos, we make them like street taco style, where I use like the little tortillas and then do the Mexican crema and then crumbled cheese and green onions and cilantro and lime, all that good stuff. But so today we're just going to use all the different components and make it into a different version. Okay, let's get started by getting a pot, getting our chicken liquid, and let's start reducing it down. Turn it to about medium. Oops. Hello. I'm always trying to tell you guys, oh, this is what I did. This is how I did it. And everybody's kind of like, oh, okay, yeah. But nobody really understands or really cares right now. So I'm just trying to put these thoughts and ideas I have in my mind and how I do things in video form. So one day when I'm not here for you to ask, you can look back and be like, oh, okay, that's how she did it. Or be like, oh, okay, now I understand what she was talking about. So it's all just a video diary of the inner workings of my mind. I guess instead of just staring at the pot heating up, you could have been staring at me while I talked. So anyway, that's why I do what I do right now and why I'm doing these and why I'm making these. So you're welcome. It's just a little love from me to you. Because take it from me, one day you're going to want to ask me questions and I'm not going to be here to ask. And then you're really going to miss those times. You know what they say, you never know what you got until it's gone. Well, it's the same thing with recipes, with food, with family, with friends. Lately, we've lost a lot of people we've really loved and adored. And it's not until they're no longer here until you're like, oh, I should have asked how they did this. Oh, I should have asked these questions. Instead of leaving everybody with unanswered know-how, just figured I'd just video while I do what I do while I do it, and then it will live for eternity online. Okay, now that this is coming to a boil, I think we're going to go ahead and add our cheese sauce. And you know, honestly, these thrown together makeshift spur of the moment dinners are always the best. You'll just want to reduce it down a little bit so it kind of tightens up and gets a little bit thickened, but you'll still want it saucy and a little thin because the tortillas we're using are going to be raw. They're not going to be cooked. So we're just going to cut them up and put them in the pan and then layer the chicken cheese, and then we're pouring the sauce over it. So the loose sauce will help absorb in the tortilla and cook it. Okay, I think this looks good. It's thickened, but it's still kind of juicy. It's still a little runny. That way it can cook our tortillas, because this right here will pretty much be the thickest or the thinnest it's going to be because it's boiling, so it's at its highest heat. And then as it sits, it will thicken up. So then when you cook, it will melt back and be able to coat and cook the tortillas. So let's get started assembling. Assembling. Let's start assembling. Oh, how should we phrase it? Okay, how about let's start assembling. Assembling? Oh my goodness. Okay, let's go assemble our chicken and lasagna. Okay, let's start by, we'll cut up our tortillas. I'm not exactly sure how much, so I'm not going to cut up too many. I'm going to cut up about a quarter of them. And then if we need more, then it's easy to cut up more. But I don't want to have a bunch of just cut up tortillas I got to figure out what to do with later. So I think I'm going to cut them in thirds one way and then thirds the other. That way they're smaller pieces. They're not huge chunks, because I think what I'm going to do is give my chicken a rough chop too, because they're kind of large shreds. That way they're all kind of uniform pieces, so then when you take a scoop out, when you dip a scoop out, you can get it all a spoonful and it's not falling off or sliding all over the spoon, or you pull up and you just got a bunch of juice because all the insides fell off because they were too big. I think we'll start with this and then we'll go from there. I think what I'm going to do is prep everything. I'm going to take my chicken out and give it kind of a rough chop, and then I'm going to mix the little bit of mozzarella I have left in with some of this Fiesta blend and mix it all up, so then that way I can just grab from each bowl and start stacking. I'm going to try to expedite the process a little, if you will. I know it may seem like a lot of cheese, but remember, we're going to be making at least 2 pans, and we're going to cheese every layer and then put cheese on top. When we shredded the chicken, shredded it like the full breast, so they're pretty large shreds. So that's why I'm gonna chop it down so everything is about the same size. Everything's about a bite size. I'm gonna save the rest of this chicken for fried chicken tacos later this week. And then also, if I don't use all this cut up chicken, I'll just add it back to the bag of shredded chicken. And if I don't use all the cheese, I'll also just save that because I'll end up mixing the cheese with the chicken to put it in for the fried tacos. Repurposing your leftovers is a great way to stretch your budget without feeling like you are sacrificing any kind of culinary quality. Okay, let's the layering begin. I'm going to do a couple spoonfuls of the sauce on the bottom. Spread it around. Do a layer of the cut up tortillas. And you kind of just want to do a thin layer, just like one even layer. It's fine if they overlap a little bit, but not be thick stacked. I mean, you could even do this with not even cutting up the tortillas. You could just take the full tortillas and lay them down and layer them that way. Then if you did that, it would kind of be more like an lasagna, where maybe this technically would be called an enchilada casserole. That's what I'll call it, enchilada casserole. Now, if you were to keep the tortillas full and do full tortillas and then layer the goodies, tortilla, layer tortilla, full tortillas, you'd have to use a spatula or a knife and cut it like a lasagna. So technically that would be enchilada. This will be an enchilada casserole. We'll go down with some chicken. Again, little layer. Just make sure it's just evenly spread around. Now we'll go in with some cheese. Same thing, a little layer, evenly spread over. That way, no matter what piece you get, it's the good stuff. And then I'm going to go in with another scoop of sauce, couple scoops of sauce. More tortillas. You know what I think I should have done is not put the sauce over before the tortillas. I should have put the tortillas straight on the cheese and then put the sauce. So I'm actually gonna, so that way the tortillas have the sauce to cook. So I'm gonna just add a little bit extra on top of these tortillas, but next layer, I'm gonna do it that way. See what I mean? You just kind of learn as you go. It's all trial and error. And like I said before, you may know it was a kind of a pain, or you messed up, or you see something you should have done different, but nobody else is going to know. Now we'll go down with the chicken, cheese, tortilla, sauce. I'm going to do one more layer, so I'm getting about 3 layers per pan. Since this is the final layer, I'm going to try to make it a little bit more uniform, evenly spread out. I'm going to put a little sauce and then just put cheese, and then it's done. I think I did, what, 3 ladles full of sauce on this one because it's the final layer, so I want to make sure it's fully coated, and then all the residual liquid will seep down to the bottom and get all the other layers. And then just a little sprinkling of cheese on top. And because we want love to be extra, let's get some parsley flakes. Parsley flakes. 1 enchilada casserole down. We'll go for 1 more. Worked out perfect. Perfect amount of chicken, perfect amount of tortillas. I do have a little bit of cheese, but I'm going to put that on top, and then we'll see how much I have left. If I put it in with the leftover cheese, or if I just make this casserole extra cheesy. Okay, I'm just going to put the rest of this cheese back in with the leftover cheese. Little parsley flakes. Second chicken enchilada casserole done. This one's going in the freezer for an emergency dinner night. I have some leftover sauce, which I'm going to keep. I'm going to put it in a smaller container and throw it in the fridge, and I'm going to save that for when we do fried chicken tacos, because we can use that for a dip. I can even boil it or simmer it a little bit and even condense it down a little bit more so it's a little thicker, and then we'll use that for a dip for our fried chicken tacos. And there you have it, 2 chicken enchilada casseroles, 1 for dinner, 1 for the freezer. I'm going to wrap this with foil and then put it in the freezer. Then once it's frozen, I'm going to come back, and then I'll put saran wrap over it and then put aluminum foil back on it, write on what it is, how long to cook it, what temperature, all that stuff, and then put it back in the freezer. And this, I'm just going to put some tin foil on, throw it in the refrigerator until, I don't know, about 5 hours, until it's time to make dinner. And just like that, dinner 3,472 is a wrap. Thanks for cooking dinner with me. Love ya.